off the heels of the greatest comeback in NBA history. Like this entire season, this entire thing is I'm gonna go to sleep, I'm gonna wake up and it's still gonna feel like a dream. And like long so I'm okay. Indulge me for a second. Take your time. So like and so anytime I meet somebody, like and like we start talking about basketball, it's like, oh, like who you and they're like, oh, okay, like are you from New York? And I'm like, no, I'm not from New York, but like I'm from Houston. And I explain like, oh yeah, my dad's from there. And like that's kind of like the short answer. And like but like the long answer is like, yeah, my dad's from New York, but ironically he's not a Knicks fan and I'm from Houston. I'm not a Rockets fan. But we grew up like going a lot. And like I fell in love with like the city and like and all of my dad's family, everybody else, they're all Knicks fans. And so it's like I was around them all the time, fell in love with New York, and you hear all of the stories about the old garden, like oh my god, like the garden was rocking, just like fell in love with it, and so like that's why like they're my team, and so you have all that, you hear all these like folk tale stories of all of that, you just like build, and then whenever I like, and I think I've told the story on here before, where one of my uncles like swore me in as a Knicks fan and was like, from here on out, you're like this is your family. I don't think you told us that. What is that? When I was in either like early high school or like late middle school.
She took the same elevator every day, but today she remained. A new path had arrived. Via elevator or by book, who could really say? Explore your story.
That name on your shirt, it means something. Because Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance to save people hundreds. Tom, stop that. Now let's get out there and play like it.
Again, Doug? Parents need to stay over there.
Sorry, Coach.
No, so get your little buddy.
No! Only pay for what you need.
Once I'm like done bandwagoning, I was always a Knicks fan, but I like was serious about my Knicks fandom. And so one of my uncles like brought the jersey and was like, put your hand on this jersey and like put your right hand up. And he made me like repeat after him. I like swore in to being a Knicks fan, like I was like the president or something. Yeah. And so it's like from that moment on, you can argue that that was one of like the worst decisions that anybody could ever make, because they lost. They had multiple seasons where they are losing 17 games or where they're winning 17 games. Multiple seasons where they're missing the playoffs. They're the embarrassment of the league. You have multiple years where like for the longest time, and really since the last title, like the last 35 years, the Knicks in Madison Square Garden have been a place for everybody else to get their game on. Like they've purely been the stepping stone for everybody. Like you have the '90s Bulls, you have Hakeem getting his first ring. Like Kobe scores the Garden record. Harden has like a 60-point triple double. LeBron has 52 there. Curry's coming out parties there. Curry sets the 3-point record in MSG. Wemby had a 40 and 20 game on Christmas, and like that's his coming out party. Like every step of the way, for a long time, it's been about somebody else at the Garden. And today, it's not about anybody else, and it's about the Knicks. And like I'm trying not to cry again because like this is so insane that you have this entire thing, this like curse of 53 years, and curse or drought, whatever you want to call it, and it's just over now because of some big-headed 6'2" guy who is 6'2", who's the clutchest player that you've ever seen in your life, and every single game in the series, he got better and better and better. And the series culminates with him dropping 45 on the road, down 15, to win the title. And this team is so special. Obviously we went back and forth all year long about the Knicks tier 1 contender, are they tier 2? They have the embarrassing loss on MLK Day and all this other stuff. And you go in, it's like, yeah, they're good, whatever. For a majority of people to even say, yeah, I think the Knicks have a chance to win the finals, they had to play the greatest month of basketball anybody's ever seen.
Yeah.
And just to have a chance. And they ran them. And they ran them. And they beat them in 5.
And what'd you say they do?
I said they ran them. I said they ran them. Yeah. And they ran them. And so now, Jalen Brunson's a champion. Josh Hart's a champion. Karl Anthony Towns is a champion.
And not just is Karl Anthony Towns the champion.
No.
Karl Anthony Towns is the champion for the Knicks jersey. Karl Anthony Towns is the champion for the team you root for. The epitome of everything you did not like in basketball 4 years ago, it was your savior. Was the missing piece to bring you the championship that you just spent 20 minutes talking about why you never thought you'd get it. Cat was the missing piece.
Hey,
Cat was
Cat.
They never, ever.
He will never be a little one.
Will never be the little
Doesn't
one
know
from
how.
here on out.
doesn't even know how.
And like I remember, I said it I think a couple weeks ago. Like I went back and watched the emergency episode when Cat got traded. It's like I can't believe it. Like I can already see the 2 for 16, game 6, whatever. Luckily, we didn't have to get to a game 6 because we beat everybody in 5 before, and that's it. And all I said was, "All right, man, lock in because it's time to win a championship." And Cat, from the moment he became a Knick, locked in to a different level than what he was before, and changed his style of play.
Not just from the moment he became a Knick. Last year he was Cat. He was good offensively. In the playoffs, he was bad defensively. He had terrible moments in that series against the Pacers. He had his fair share of Karl Anthony Towns moments. He locked in this year. He got better. And I think that's such an important thing to point out, that you got the full bread. You got the full experience of Karl Anthony
He
Towns.
fouled out today.
He still has up and down, but he gave you enough ups for the perfect amount of time to secure your championship. Yeah. Him getting you the best version of him. You mentioned earlier a 6'2" dude brought you the championship. That's generous as hell. A 5'11" dude with a nice measurement brought you the championship. That's not supposed to happen. Look up and down the roster. Cat was a player that we've given up on. Thought we'd never see the world in which he could be the best or second best player in the championship team because of the flaws he has, right? Still a very good player, but we know our serious doubts with him being a nucleus player. Jalen Brunson, 2nd round pick, 6 man, signs to your team. No one expects him to become a superstar. Here he is. Josh Hart, the most imperfect role player imaginable. Mikal Bridges, all we talk about. You gave up way too many picks to get him. He's not worth anywhere close to the package. He's played largely fine for the whole time he's been a Knick. He's had his up and downs, obviously, his lows. Even when he's up, all we talk about is you gave up too much. Mike Brown was fired by the goddamn Sacramento Kings. To be tossed aside by the worst organization in sports, and then to be hired by a team and immediately take them to the championship. And you can get into the bench players, people like Jordan Clarkson written off, Miles McBride never should have been here, all this stuff. Every single person that has to do with the championship is doing it in a likable way, a way that you can root for. And we've talked about that a lot, right? That this Knicks team feels like a team that, even if you're not a Knicks fan, there's so much to be happy for them up and down the roster. And the Knicks themselves, when Leon Rose took over, failed rebuild. The prize of that 3-year period where you were winning 17 games a year, RJ Barrett. And they flipped all those bad pieces into all the underdogs I just talked about. There's nothing about this team that's not enjoyable to see them thrive.
Yeah, we can even go back to the summer of 2019 when everyone thought y'all were going to get Kyrie, KD, Zion. Y'all end up with Randall and Brunson, and everyone's laughing at y'all. I was everyone. I'm not going to lie.
So was I. So was he. He was laughing at himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Knicks fans aren't above this. They were also feeling despair, feeling the doubt of all the guys I mentioned. Yeah. They hated on Mikal Bridges for not being worth the picks. They hated on Cat for having terrible performances. They didn't truly believe in Brunson when they signed him. That's why it feels so good to them, I'm sure, because they shared the feeling of not belief until there was a reason to believe.
And every moment of the journey, and even in this series,
yeah, Brunson MVP,
it always felt like there was just because that's how
it threw me. I'm crying
for so long. That even after Game 3, and the only loss that they've had, since Game 3 of the Hawks series, you have a lot of people. Oh my God, Brunson ball. Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And instantly, as soon as that game happened, before everybody's eyes, it's like I saw a tweet the day after that was like, man, that $80 million Brunson contract is gonna look insane in 2 years. Like if they don't win it, and like the fear.
I know he had a chance.
It never truly went away until the final zeros hit. And
the way they were playing, the Knicks was playing
to put them up 4 instead of 3, and it always the door was just always open just enough.
When they swept,
back of your mind, you're like,
they swept
sideways.
The Knicks, they swept Detroit,
and
not Detroit.
So
Cleveland,
right now,
Philly,
again,
it was on fire.
Thank you to CJ McCollum. You have played like you should get a ring. You played as integral of a part part in this championship run as anybody else to scare the Knicks into whatever.
And y'all shook.
Yeah, to the max, more than shook. And from that moment on, the teamwork, the fight, the hustle, the never say die attitude about this team that you saw, whether they were going into a game up 3-0, ready to close people out by 30, or tonight and do what they did the entire series, which is, oh, it's okay, yeah, we're gonna start the first quarter, 2 of 13. We're gonna spot you 15 points, and to just keep coming back and back and back and out execute and make timely shots.
Yeah, I know the Knicks had a chance.
Duke and Brian was hitting absolutely everything.
Because I watched the OKC play. They only beat the OKC because OKC was healthy. And they had OG. They had a better squad.
In the playoffs, Mikal Bridges was shooting 70% from the field for the first 3 rounds. Was obviously had a good game.
And Victor Wembanyama gotta go to power forward.
First 2 games, and everyone was like, "Is he Finals MVP?" Then you had Cat multiple games where the foul trouble is right there on Front Street, and through all of that, the Knicks persevered, and they're champions now.
Yeah, I just find it crazy that Jalen Brunson specifically led this team. Not even because of the whole Becky Hammon conversation that we've all been having, but I think specifically this year, there was a lot of conversations about small guards that don't play defense, that offense is built around. Are those guys, players that you should build around? And for Jalen Brunson to do what he did, specifically this year, bro, y'all can...
Without T-Mobile 5G home internet, this place is spooky.
Relax. Now you can get T-Mobile 5G home internet with same-day delivery. Nothing to be scared of. Get T-Mobile 5G home internet delivered the same day.
Yeah, they ain't gonna sleep. They gonna play all summer.
Honestly, Becky Hammon could still be right. You are wrong about Jalen Brunson, though. Sure, you are for sure wrong.
And part of that, yeah. And like the thing with the Becky Hammon thing, like, okay, so one, yes, it is a rally.
I know that.
For Knicks fans.
Nah, they're gonna part all summer long.
Disbelief in Jalen Brunson. Her specifically, and her comment specifically, is only big literally only because she's a woman. Like, because everybody else, every other man in NBA media says the exact same thing of, oh, you can't have a small guard, but they decide to pick on Becky Hammon. That's the only reason why like her comments have stayed around. But just to the point of the entire conversation of small guards, the one caveat that we always say is like, yeah, you just have to have a superpower. You just have to be like that when your team needs it, and Jalen Brunson is.
Yeah, that obviously part of it, like he's just succeeded in spite of the clear limitations of that style of play. But also, speaking so much about that just centers Jalen Brunson on this, like he just backpacked this team. And this isn't what this moment is at all.
Yeah.
Sure, it is, like you said.
I bet you did.
They won a championship. They did. So her comment was factually correct, right? But the spirit of it, we all know what she meant. We all agree with what she meant to some degree, right? Whether the line is Jalen Brunson or not, who is good enough or not good enough to be a small guard leader team, neither here nor there. This Knicks championship really, to me, shows that they were at their best when they weren't so Jalen Brunson focused. Last season, they lived and died by Jalen Brunson iso ball. It lived a lot of times. For the past 2 years, we've loved Jalen Brunson for being such an incredible late-game performer that's so reliable, such an engine of an offense. There was a figured it out because it's just a very difficult style of play. They're here because before the last 2 games, in which old Cat came back to play a little bit with the foul trouble in the last
big time.
Before he relapsed on the offensive fouls, he was arguably their most important player. They played through him as the hub. That's how they got these last 2 sweeps before the finals. They were destroying teams by him being a bigger part of the game. Brunson all year focusing on off-ball. Mike Brown doing a very good job of getting him off the ball more. In turn, empowering Cat. Empowering OG to provide offensive value that makes him in all-star conversations now, which we've never said it before. Mikal had a good run in the playoffs too. Everybody touched the ball more, and they played without being so focused on Brunson. So to even go back to that combo so much, I get the fans are going to do it.
Yeah.
How are they not going to have their moment to shed on all the Jalen Brunson haters? But this is really about how you can make a team that's led by one star be led by the whole team. Have it be a starting 5, be a moment that in real time for the last two sweeps when we started to realize, oh my God, they can make this run. We knew in the moment that we're witnessing one of those runs where a full team locks in and plays their best basketball and has a historic run that we don't got to talk about dynasties, we don't got to talk about this and this and that. For this month, they are playing perfect basketball as a team. And that's so much more important to me than whatever the hell we got to take away about Jalen Brunson.
Facts. And let it not be lost. We are the first team in NBA history to complete the double. We are the first team in NBA history to win 2 championships in 1 year. Nobody's ever done that before.
What's the other championship?
The in-season tournament, the NBA Cup.
Hold on. Both of you need to show some respect to the Emirates NBA Cup.
You are correct. The Emirates NBA Cup won the Larry O'Brien. Listen, man.
You think people will take that tournament more seriously now?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%, honestly.
This definitely helps somewhat. I don't know if it's gonna be like overnight here all of a sudden. Yeah. But this is the type of thing you need to see for that accomplishment to begin to matter. It's gonna just take time and history for those type of things to really have an imprint in our brains. When there's only 2 championships and neither one of them led to anything, like in terms of those teams having long runs after, of course we're just gonna forget it even happened. Yeah. But as time goes on and history comes and we see more and more teams do both, the Thunder almost did both last year. They lost in the finals. Now we finally see it happen. I hope we see the tournament start to matter more because I think it's good to have.
Good night, NBA Cup. We won the NBA Cup.
Yeah, and I do think honestly, like
2-time champion. We won 2 champions in the year.
Tournament, low key, like because we saw the Spurs and the Knicks both in the tournament final, and so that was one of the first times that people were really like, okay, the Spurs are for real, right? Because they had those games against OKC where they handed out belt. And they proved that they can hang with them. And so, in terms of like a measuring stick or a point in the NBA season where you can finally have like a legitimate litmus test, I do think that the cup might be something for that. But like the Knicks, doing everything that they've done this year is fantastic, and like the way that this team has changed from then to now, from December to now, from April to now. Their evolution is one of the most interesting and fulfilling evolutions of a team within one season that we've seen. Especially for a team that at the beginning of the year we thought was going to be in this position, was going to be in the finals, and we took roller coaster roundabout way of getting here, but at the end of the day they are, they're at the top, man. Yeah. Yo, the Knicks are champions, man. The Knicks are champions.
Fulfilling is an interesting way to phrase it. That's definitely like you felt the full range of emotion in this season, and I can't remember last time that happened. That the team was expected to be in the finals, but like we mentioned in recent weeks.
For businesses of all sizes, T-Mobile is reinventing business internet with super broadband, powered by America's fastest 5G internet plus Starlink satellites. Super broadband reaches every zip code in the U.S.
That's largely because the Celtics were seemingly going to be in the gap year. They were eliminated from it. We know Giannis was on the side because the Dame didn't work out. He's gone off the team. Like a lot of people, I picked the Cavs. You picked the Knicks. That was the conversation coming into the season. The combo was one of those teams will be in the finals, but we think the Thunder were back to back. Or we can just. Oh, actually, no, we weren't seeing Spurs yet. Whoever you had outside the Thunder in the West, it was like most of the conversation.
The Nuggets.
Yeah, the Nuggets. Yeah, they were the other team in second. The real combo was like, who I think in the West is going to win the finals. So they were seen as a favorite, but it was a very like someone's got to do it type thing. So to go from that to mid-tier playoff team because we're starting to lose faith in this core because they're having these up and down performances, to we're insane in the playoffs, to we're in the finals, like every single step of contender, you check those boxes this year. You felt every single moment of underdog, favorites, team, like there was no stone left unturned when it comes to expectations for this next year.
Man, I'm still just like in shock, and because every single person on the team just stepped up, and like OG, for him to have the performance that he had throughout this entire finals. We're coming into tonight. There were a lot of people that's like, hey, OG Anunoby is my finals MVP, and to have him perform on that level, everything that they've done is completely justified. It's paid off. You talked about Josh Hart being the imperfect role player. I've said it before. I said it again. I want him to have a lifetime contract. Like just the way that Josh Hart plays is
He need one of those.
yeah. You need somebody on your team that is that hustle driven, that selfless in terms of his play style and does everything else. Mitchell Robinson had a broken pinky this entire series and still was able to give Wemby a little bit of trouble here and there. We saw 40 tonight. We saw Sohan, like Jose Alvarado, getting him at the deadline. They legitimately went 15 deep in this game and in this entire playoff run. And everybody, actually, they went 14 deep. There's one guy who didn't really get a run, but it's okay.
Who are you talking about? Sohan?
No, Daddy.
Oh.
But outside of him, everybody else got minutes in a meaningful spot, and they stepped up. Like Hug Porty, he played 30 seconds to start the game tonight, gets pulled, and we were saying, yeah, he looks too frantic. He does not look ready. Immediately, they put him back in the game. He comes back, gets a big block on Luke Cornett. Everybody on this team did their job, did their part, contributed as much as they needed to contribute, and you get a championship out of that. And so now this team stands in history in the NBA era of parity and not having, back-to-back champions. Us being in this time in NBA history and the Knicks building their team the way that they did, there's about 3 to 4 teams in the league now that are looking at really everybody's looking, but teams that are like close enough. There's 3 to 5 teams that are going to look at what the Knicks did and say, why not us? We can go for it. They are going to change, especially with the second April. They are going to change how you construct teams. And so when we get a year or two down the line, I wonder if Mo's been talking about it a lot. I wonder if AJ Mitchell can be our next Brunson. I wonder if Austin Reeves can be our next Brunson, right? Trying to figure out who can you find that's up and coming to now come in and lead your team, and can we build a good culture around that and win a title? And you have this data point now that tells you can. You have this data point that now tell you it's not impossible to build from the middle without drafting at the top or without having some massive, A-list free agent come to your city.
There's a few things there I think to unpack. That all that's correct, right? That this team has some unique circumstances that can be probably replicated, but in some ways probably not. The first conversation of things you named is the Brunson thing. Can we find the next Brunson? That's the one to me that's probably a little bit harder. I think Brunson might just be a once in a generation hidden star that needs his opportunity. But we talk a lot about the league being the most talented it's ever been. It would not be shocking to me if you told me, as an Austin Reeves fan, that hopefully puts on a little more weight if we're going to use him as a specific option. Yeah. But that type of guy goes to the team and becomes a superstar, that's possible. I'm sure there's other opportunities like that for players around the league. That might just be a product of the league way more talented, like you said, or he's a once in a generation guy who can't replicate that. There's a few things you can super replicate though. Trading for a lot of good players, finding wins on the margins, blowing up a team and using the rebuild assets we have to go trade for good players right away. OG was gotten for no picks, for the prize of your previous rebuild and a cool late first round pick you found quickly. That being RJ very quickly, right? Making trades like that and just finding good players every single deadline, super replicable. Being a middle tier contender and making a run because you stay healthy and play the best version of yourself, that's the part that's mega replicable in the second April year. If you tell me next year that's the Timberwolves and they win despite being the 4th seed, 100% believe you. Mm-hmm. If you tell me that's who out east could that be, that's
Listen, the Cavs have thought that they could be that team. Obviously, you go out and you get you have a highly drafted player, but in terms of somebody that is the 4th seed and is you know what, we can still do it. It's either them. Orlando is going to continue to tell themselves over and over, right? Trying to see if you can have your big draft capital trade in Desmond Bain. You got a little bit of value with Franz. You have your top pick in Paolo. Can we put these things together? Maybe. And they're going to go in with their new coach, with Sean Sweeney, and say, why not?
Exactly. And the point of that between Cavs and Orlando you just mentioned, and why they can be a good example to replicate this, sticking it throughout the years. Losing, getting further and further and further, and then finally getting the final notch from the belt, making the finals. That's something you can see replicable throughout. And teams, everybody's always the instinct is to blow it up. A lot of times the team can be to blow it up because they're not going to make it that far. Sometimes you see a team like this that goes one more year, and this is the year they get it done. That's super replicable in a time where not only is the second April thing making it hard to go back to back, injuries are at an all-time high. Every finals this year feels like it's dictated on which teams make it that far based on who stays healthy. Literally, why not you? Literally, all that needs to happen is you are the team that plays the best and doesn't get hurt. Stick it through for one more year. Now, if for the Cavs example, that would be nice to say before they trade Darius Garland. So now I don't know if I have hope in the James Harden era, but that type of thing. Why not you?
For sure, don't have hope in James
Yeah,
Harden.
yeah.
After today.
If it was a Garland era still, I'm like, literally, why not you? You won 64 games, you went out sad, you made the conference finals the next year. One more year, you can make it that far. That's super replicable.
This is this is special, and because you talk about like people having injuries every single year, and even this year we talked the Celtics were the favorites coming in. They got into a situation where they were in Game 7, and then all of a sudden Tatum is out again for Game 7. Obviously, very very different circumstances because he's coming off the Achilles. If it was just a regular year, he probably would have played. We'll see. But also, I'm not sure just because of how Tyrese, went out last year. But so rarely, and this is why like this specific season is so magical and it means so much, is because they rarely do have a team that has the opportunity right there in front of them, and they capitalize fully on the opportunity. Right, like there's only one champion every single year, and things happen all the time. And how many times have we seen somebody be up 2-1, and you have an opportunity to go up 3-1 and really take control of the series, and then boom, now it's 2-2, and the whole series changes. Or you miss one shot, you forget you make two mistakes on back-to-back plays, and then all of a sudden you have this 6-point swing in the third quarter of a playoff game, and now the whole series is different. Right, all that stuff changes constantly, and the Knicks were faced that and looked it straight in the eye, being down 2-1 to the Hawks, and they completely said, you know what, we have to make sure that we don't waste the potential that we have, and they did it, and not a lot of teams actually accomplish that.
Let's talk about we're capturing this moment perfectly, right? Let's do a little bit of the legacy stuff and the history talk, because this is such a significant team. Let's put our Bill Simmons hat on. We've seen random quote unquote championships before, right? That we didn't see until before the playoffs started. I think people will obviously mention 2011 as a team that was a good team, but they weren't talked about as being in the inner circle contender. We expected to win their conference, let alone the super team, right? Yeah. Same thing with the Knicks, that they're in the mix, they're a top 3 seed. We expect them to be able to miss the final that's in the air. We don't think they can beat the quote unquote super team Thunder, or by the time they got to the playoffs, super team Spurs, right? That's a good comparison, I think. Other people might mention the first Hakeem title with the Rockets. That's the year they were the 8th seed and won the championship, right? 6th seed.
6 was the second.
What was the year they were 8th seed?
No,
Oh, 60. I'm thinking 60 now. Whatever. 60 when they were lower seed and won. People might think about those type of teams. Those teams had Dirk, had Hakeem, had a all-time great top 30 player of all time leading them. To not have that makes it feel so special. And I feel like that's why it feels so unique, is that it's like I mentioned earlier, not about Brunson only. Even though he is the finals MVP, he does we'll talk about his legacy and all this and stuff. The fact that we have this type of run without it being led by one superstar like that, only thing I can think about is the 04 Pistons. That's a defensive team, so of course it feels different in its ethos. Yeah. To get that in this type of well-rounded two-way team that has star players, but not like one all-time great, I can't think of another version of that. There's always an all-time great that leads the Cinderella runs.
I feel like it'd be like the 07 Spurs, of like no one ever believed in them, or no one believed in them as
Yeah,
much.
exactly. Like Duncan,
Yeah, I mean, the answer to your question is they have an all-time great.
Okay, is that
like
combo?
I think now it's Isaiah Thomas and Steph Curry and Jalen Brunson in terms of small guards that have led their teams to a championship and have been the driving force of what their team has done. I mean, Jalen Brunson has been an All NBA guy for his time in New York. He's been All Star at the same time. Coming into the playoffs, there was you can have at this point 8-minute cuts of clutch playoff Jalen Brunson scoring moments, and for him to have the clutch scoring that he does, for him to now have the title, Finals MVP, to have 4 years in terms of a body of work, we can assume. Let's just say, hey, this goes on for another 2 years. We have a 6-year window and a 6-year prime of Jalen Brunson, where you get a title, you get 6 all NBA selections, whether it be first, second, or third team, whatever. All of that starts to move you up pretty high on the list because not a lot of people have all of those accomplishments. And so if the Knicks make it back to the finals next year, or if they continue to have deep playoff runs, we'll see what happens. But this is now like they've done the hardest thing. You've gone out and you have the trophy. You have it. And so as you start building resumes, Jalen Brunson's resume has a very, very strong foundation to start pushing your way up. Am I gonna say top 30? No. But we can start at, 55, 50, right? And we can start pushing our way forward and really see how much we can push beyond that.
Yeah, fourth straight year in a row averaging 27 plus points. Yeah. His career average in the regular season as a Knick, 26.3 points, 6.8 assists.
Without T-Mobile 5G home internet, this place is spooky.
Relax. Now you can get T-Mobile 5G home internet with same-day delivery. Nothing to be scared of. Get T-Mobile 5G home internet delivered the same day, powered by DoorDash.
That's funny though, that whenever he was signing with the Knicks in that offseason, that's pretty similar. I think it was 24 in the sample I'm about to describe. That's pretty similar to the sample size we had in he played games without Luka his last year at the Mavericks, and we said if he can do this as a New York Knick, it's worth the money for them. That was like 24 and 7.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, he's doing precisely what you could have hoped for in the best case scenario, and even greater for a playoff performer, like you mentioned, 26 point per game playoff series left and right. That's one of the greatest second round picks of all time. That's the greatest bench player turned star I can remember. I'm sure there's other deeper history that I'm not thinking of, but literally the wildest dreams you could have had for Jalen Brunson's career, we're seeing that.
Yeah, and Cat's entire narrative changed today. The way that people are going to talk about Cat for the rest of his career is different now.
Yep.
And so that's done. Mike Brown, a guy who was coaching Braun, Coach Kobe, got fired from both of those spots. You mentioned earlier, he was fired from Sacramento, and continues to just build and build and build and get better and better and better as a coach. And now he has a title. OG wasn't there in 19 because he was hurt. But as he starts to ascend and his game starts to go even more, you have his standing in the league that's up there. And then now Josh Hart now gets into those like, he's in the conversation now. When you start naming the best role players and stuff like that, Josh Hart is going to be right there. And Mikal Bridges, all of that is, he plays every single game, the 5 first-round picks. Everybody's legacy is completely stamped tonight, and I can't feel happier for any of them. Also, as 2 things. One, you know the rules. Jalen Brunson finals MVP. That's the best player in the world. At least for the summer, right? When we do our next rankings, we'll see what it is. But for the summer, Jalen Brunson is the best player in the world.
At least for the next 2 weeks.
Yep. And that means I don't want to hear a damn thing. Who's the best guard in the East? Is it this guy? Is it this guy? You know exactly who it is. It's Jalen Brunson.
Talking to you Pistons fans.
I don't want to hear a damn thing about the Pistons. I had to hear all year. Oh my God, Kate Cunningham is doing this, he's doing that. Yo, it's literally, it's levels to this. It's levels to this. I don't want to hear anything. You have to do this. And Jalen Brunson just did it. So he is solidified, obviously, as a top 10 NBA player. He is solidified as the best guard in the East. Listen, we will have some conversation. He might be the best player in the East. So there's all of that we can talk about. But for tonight, and especially after this, we might have to go, pop some bottles tonight. Because how long have we been doing this?
35 minutes.
35 minutes. I'm getting antsy. So we might have to go out tonight.
All right, I'm gonna name an NBA player.
It's all
I'm gonna name an NBA player in the Eastern Conference. You tell me why Jalen Brunson's better than them.
okay.
Kate Cunningham.
He's a much better scorer and clutch scorer. He does not turn the ball over as much.
You're saying a lot of words.
And he's more steady.
Just say his ring.
Just say it. Yeah.
Jason Tatum.
Here's the ring too. Here's the newer ring. Here's the updated ring.
So he's on the top right now.
Yeah.
So until Jason Tatum gets a ring newer in the 2026 championship, Brunson's on top.
Yes. Also, Brunson beat him in the playoffs last year.
Check the stats.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about.
Gonna stop at the first.
Yeah.
Just keep rubbing it in. Don't forget about that. Donovan Mitchell. They were in combos for a long
Your
time.
chain has been snapped.
They were in combos for a long time.
We were just talking to a wall at that point. Yeah, Brunson's been bad.
A year ago, we were saying Brunson's better.
Brunson was frying him when he was in Dallas.
As a backup.
Ben frying.
Been frying. Not even a conversation.
No. It's not close.
Joel Embiid.
Come on, man. Joel Embiid, have fun at the World Cup, buddy.
We're
We're still playing playoff games right now, and you're at the World Cup. There's levels to it. There's levels to this.
Tyler McGarrett.
Come on, man. You are not there. Let me see you score 25 back-to-back games.
Giannis.
Can you get back to the playoffs?
Brunson's there. Brunson's deep in the playoffs.
He's completed the playoffs.
He's never hyper-excited, isn't he?
There's literally no more games to play.
One too many.
One too many. Listen, steak too buttery. Steak too juicy, lobster too buttery.
Let's go to the West. Ooh. Victor Wembanyama.
You just had your opportunity. Trying to play dirty, trying to throw elbows, put your foot under my foot, trying to take me out the game. Why don't you hit a free throw in the last 2 minutes, buddy? Why don't you learn not to turn the ball over in the last 2 minutes? Why don't you do that?
Roll the ball out.
That's
what
what-
happened.
That's what I'm saying.
The ball was rolled out.
Why don't you stay grounded this summer? You trying to oral farm all the time. I'm in your head, boy. I'm in your head. He's going to be thinking about the Knicks all summer long. Brunson's in your head, dog. It's over.
Kevin Durant.
Bro, just go argue with somebody. You can argue with people on Twitter, not with me. Not with me.
Okay. Luka Doncic.
As soon as I left, I came out, I got the ring. Right? If I'm Jalen Brunson, I won the chip in 5. You lost the chip in 5. You know,
Hard winner.
You know what I'm saying? I do have the ring. And again, I have 2 rings. Because I got the double.
That's a double.
I got the double. The Emerson NBA Cup.
Luka doesn't have any of those.
Nothing.
Luka's never touched the NBA Cup Finals.
Upon opening the book, something shifted. And as she read, her thoughts rearranged. Explore your story.
No MVPs. I got finals MVP. So
Laughed.
yeah, out of here.
Laughed.
Listen, Jalen Brunson has been focused on winning championships. Luka Doncic has been focused on winning PR battles and men's health. I'm taking Jalen Brunson.
Look, guys, I'm fit now. You sound like me.
What you talking about? Oh, man. Where are we going to rank Brunson? We already beat him as a top 10 player.
He's probably top 5.
No, you forgot a name. No, let's continue the activity.
Oh yeah.
SGA.
Oh, SGA.
I was waiting for you in the finals, dog. Where were you? It was supposed to be you versus me. If I'm Brunson, I'm looking at him. I thought I was gonna play Jordan. Now I have to play the role of Jordan this time because you don't want to show up. So
Because I'll do you a solid.
Yeah.
I'll be Jordan. If you insist.
I guess.
but listen,
It's like, God,
you better not skip it next year. Don't skip it next year. I'll be waiting for you.
Nikola Jokic.
I will score you every day. If we roll the ball, I don't care if you're 7 feet, 8 feet tall. You can't guard anybody. I'll fry you right now.
He's personifying Jalen Brunson.
I am.
He's stepping into the shoes of Jalen Brunson. He just met that.
Because Jalen Brunson is not going to talk like that. You have to do it for him. It's okay.
You don't think he'll talk like that? I don't know. He got a long summer.
He does have a long.
He was getting feisty in those finals games. Might be a battery in his back. You might have some shit to say.
Everyone's humble until they don't have to be, man. That's all I'm saying.
I did try to tell y'all. De'Aaron Fox tried to stare into Jalen Brunson's eye. I told you were looking into the eyes of the killer. And when I looked back on the other side, when he looked back on the other side, I can know you are not the one. You are not a killer. You was freaking
Let's talk
loudly.
About that. 40 minutes on the Knicks. We'll probably do 40 more after. Let's talk about the Spurs. Man, before the season started, playing team on everybody's radar, right? I'm sure there's some people out there that had the foresight to know what we would become best in the world caliber and get them to a high seed. The masses picked them to be a play-ish team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come out, they show they are far better than that. They show they are the greatest threat the Thunder have seen in their run as a top team. Come out, they beat them, right? They make it this far in their first playoff run with the Victor Wembanyama leading the team. In Dylan Harper's first year as an NBA player, in the first year, De'Aaron Fox is on this team. Everything coalesces. They make the finals, take down the big bad Super Dynasty 2 in the Thunder. Good year overall. Mm-hmm. You can't take any big complaints with that, right? You overachieved. Nevertheless, you make it this far, expectations realign. You were the favorites to beat the Knicks. Heavy favorites. I think we view them as a slight favorite, obviously. You would stand being a Knicks fan. Me and Mo, Beachels, I'm pretty sure you agree, view them as a slight favorite. We beat them in 7 games or so. Damn sure didn't expect you to lose in 5. Damn sure didn't expect Victor Wembanyama to have multiple terrible fourth quarter performances. Pretty much every game except the one they won was pretty bad in the fourth quarter. Whether he's missing big free throws, not being able to be an assertive downfield player, not being able to create with the ball in his hands when he really needed to because they take away the pick and roll, just generally not being the best player on the court at all times. Late games. Pretty much every time when we got to the fourth quarter, we felt Jalen Brunson and the Knicks being extremely comfortable, being extremely confident, and the Spurs going the other way. Part of which is Victor Wembanyama. Got the experience everybody said he would. First time at this big stage, you have a thing or two to learn, buddy. Welcome to your 07 Bronze Series. You're going to get beat down. If he wasn't quite as bad as 07 Bronze for his standards, he wasn't great. He wasn't playing up to the version of Wemby we saw in the last playoff round. That happened. De'Aaron Fox. You are going to have the worst summer of your life.
That's true.
I worked for your safety, bro.
Yeah, he was 3-15 tonight.
Everything they hate is so true. Legend of Winning is the most validated man on the planet right now. For tweeting in October, De'Aaron Fox is genuinely not needed whenever there's a big game that Dylan Harper had before De'Aaron Fox came back from injury. He tweeted that, got harassed for months because De'Aaron Fox went on to be an all-star, and they were just so good that the point was like, well, they can just have a bunch of good point guards, that's fine, right? Here we are. He gets hurt in the last round, twists his ankle, plays through it, utter garbage in the finals. And to say he was garbage in the finals might make me think maybe there's a chance he's played bad, right? Maybe there's a chance he just wasn't making shots, and things happen. We sometimes we use words like ass, garbage, whatever, to just be a run-of-the-mill bad series. He makes $60 million a year, and he was not 1/3 the player of the rookie point guard. He makes $60 million a year. He was an active detriment for most of the minutes he spent on the court. He makes $60 million a year. He is 27 years old. He is supposed to be the smart, keep the ball in control, get the ball moving type of guy that while you have the young talented guards, you need an adult in the room. He was the least mature on the court. He made the most mistakes, the most one-handed turnovers. Never mind, Stephon Castle was on this team, so I can't say that part. I retract that last sentence. He made the most decisions outside of Stephon Castle that were bad. He was the most inconsistent scorer that continued to have opportunities to score and did not make the buckets. This Johnson continued to say you're going to have those opportunities. Bad decision. I understand you got here so far with him. You're not going to change things up now at the big stage. There's a reason you are where you're at. This sheer unwillingness to make any type of adjustment when it comes to De'Aaron Fox's usage, that's why you lost the finals. There's plenty of things to point to. You lost because your $60 million point guard played absolutely poorly. Not any type of qualifiers there for it, star player or anything. He was a negative player.
Yeah, once again, we're looking at the minutes tonight. De'Aaron Fox, 36.8 minutes. Dylan Harper, 31 minutes. On today's Saturday. On Thursday.
Oh, these are season average.
Series. That's even worse. that's even worse because then that shows consistently over these 5 games that you time and time again with De'Aaron Fox, which after game 1, you should have known that Dylan Harper had to play as many, if not more, minutes than De'Aaron Fox. And even tonight, right, when we started out as a couple, good moments, the only person on the Spurs that's on go for real is Dylan Harper, right? Devin Vassell, he played well, role player, whatever. He's doing his job. But in terms of the guys that you are reliably looking to score, Dylan Harper was ready to play. Stephon Castle was 1 for 10 tonight. De'Aaron Fox was 3 of 15. Wemby was 7 of 19. It's probably about an hour, post game. I hope everybody showered because they all pissed down their legs. It reeked. And it was crazy.
Somebody smell.
Yeah, for real. And I think if you're Mitch Johnson, he's part of it. He's part of this young core of, hey, you have to go through it to learn and to get better. And so, like, I don't think Mitch Johnson, like, there's going to be some people that overreact and be like, oh, is Mitch Johnson the guy, like, he should be fired, whatever. Like, I'm not going to go that far. But for this team, and as they move forward, this is definitely a series where they will all look back on it and they will all look and see.
Oh, yeah,
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben Taylor. For many of you who've been following along for a while, you know that when I finished my bedroom makeover, I was so happy with the way it turned out, from the vibe to the look and feel to just how happy it makes me to unwind here after a long day. However, I did feel like something was missing from the tech. I wanted to make an upgrade in here, but I didn't want to sacrifice the aesthetic that I already love. Bose sent me the lifestyle collection to check out, and honestly, the first thing that stands out is how design forward it feels without losing the high-end tech behind it. Everything about this feels really well thought out. The fabric wrap, the soft matte finishes, even the weight of each piece. It all feels super intentional, almost more like decor than electronics. It's clean, minimal, and actually something you want displayed in your space, adding to your design aesthetic. You can tell Bose really focused on making this feel elevated and seamless while still delivering serious performance. And that's kind of the vibe of the whole Bose lifestyle collection. It's not just about sound, it's about how it lives in your home. So I'm setting up a few pieces from the collection in my bedroom as a full system, and I'm starting with the soundbar as the anchor. It sits right under the TV and instantly looks clean and minimal, nothing flashy, just a really sleek profile that blends in with everything else. Then I'm adding the subwoofer next to this cabinet, and I like that it doesn't feel bulky or out of place here. Then the two speakers go on my nightstands, which is probably my favorite part visually. They fit perfectly into the space, almost like they were meant to be there. They don't read as tech, they feel more like part of the room. Across all of it, the materials and finishes are super consistent. The fabric, the soft matte surfaces, everything ties together so it feels like one cohesive system instead of separate products. Once everything's in place, I press play and the whole room just shifts. The sound doesn't feel like it's coming from any one spot. It starts to expand and fill the space in a way that feels almost architectural. Bose calls the technology true spatial, and it really does feel like the room opens up around it. What I like is that I still have that clean, minimal setup. Nothing visually changes, but the experience of the space completely does. I absolutely love the way this room upgrade came together, and I love that it sounds just as intentional as it looks. If you're thinking about upgrading your space or want something that looks this good but still delivers that next level immersive sound, check out the Bose Lifestyle Collection.
Things that they can do better, things that probably should have happened, and areas that they can't execute. I mean, Wemby, who's a really, really good free throw shooter, missed 2 free throws, missed 2 free throws down the stretch in before, missed free throws again tonight. De'Aaron Fox, every time he put up the shot, I was scared just because I was nervous about the game. But anybody else watching that game, and as soon as he puts the shot up, you're like, oh, that's all, right? And it's really, really tough when you get into one of these moments and the rest of your bench isn't going. They had like 20-something bench points. Dylan Harper was 90% of the bench points. Everybody else got maybe a layup here or there. But it's really Dylan Harper, and that's it. So when nobody else is helping to contribute, then I don't know like where they were supposed to go. And even then, they were still up 15. And once again, poor execution down the stretch of the game, bad decisions. Dylan Harper going to the rim super fast. 26 seconds left after a missed shot. It's a 2-point game. De'Aaron Fox fouls. There's no need to foul in that situation.
I genuinely don't understand why he did that. Normally with things that happen, I can explain to you what he was thinking, why they would plan on doing that, why I disagree. I have no fucking clue why they intended to do that. I guess it's because if they ran the full 24 out, there would only be 3 seconds left, and they want to have more time than that.
But you didn't even try to press. Anything
exactly.
like that. It was such a quick foul, and so from your guards, you have something very, very serious this offseason, where the guard rotation has to be figured out in terms of who's playing, and that's a Mitch Johnson thing. And then on the player side, Stephon Castle has to get better, right? De'Aaron Fox has to whatever was wrong, he has to get better. Jalen Harper, even as good as he played in this series, the next time that if we go into next season and you do have the keys, yes, the slashing is amazing, but if you're the full-time point guard, you're gonna have to play make. You're gonna have to shoot a little bit better. You're gonna have to add some stuff to your game. So there's across the board things that everybody can work on, and the series exposed that for a lot of them. And I know you were hating on the Spurs because you felt like they were speed running through their arc. You can't speed run through a lot of these things. There's only one team that's done it, and that was basically right after the merger.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
You talking about the Trailblazers?
Yeah.
And even the Thunder last year, who were the youngest champion post Trailblazers, they got whacked the season before by the Mavericks, in which, by all accounts, the Thunder should have won that series. But Jada wasn't ready for the moment. Chet wasn't ready for the moment. They lost the series. Here we are. And it's rare that it happens in the finals, especially when you beat the Thunder. It's such a strange thing to talk about now, because on one hand, some people look at the series, how it plays out. They were up by 15 tonight. They're up by 29 in the game prior. And the other 2 losses, I don't know the exact number was their biggest lead.
They've had like 14-point leads, 13-point leads.
Something like that. Yeah. Every single game. In the second half, I think, for all these games, they had double-digit leads, blew them all. And every single one felt the same. Every single fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson got to be his most comfortable when it mattered most. Was his most agile, his most difficult to stay in front of, his most composed, making these crazy layups, drawing these fouls, all these things. While the Spurs completely started sputtering. They looked like they had to force every single bucket. Nothing came easy. It was so hard to get to a consistent Wemby shot because you had to set him up, and they were selling out and stopping him at the rim. The shooters weren't shooting well enough. The guards didn't have the in-between game. Whatever it is, right? Whatever we just ascribe to being the main reason for their fourth quarter meltdowns, those same reasons you ascribe happened every single time. So you can look at that and say, young team versus clutch team that's been here before, kind of makes sense, right? They beat the defending champs. They beat the Timberwolves. They got here and we weren't talking about them being a young team. In fact, we're talking about them being a team that clearly we don't got to talk about these anymore because they've proven that they can walk into OKC, one of the best home court advantages in the league, one of the best home court advantages in sports even, and beat them like handily in a game 7 and not really be struggling like that. So we don't need to talk about it. So the question is, do we just cut the general explanation that they're a young team and it makes sense this happened? Or do they not deserve that bailout because they've shown they're above that and we need to just say you play terribly?
So going into game 4, I would say, yeah, you might be able to cut that bail because Wemby had the quote after, it was either after game 1 or game 2, where he was like, I think I didn't do a good job of responding to the high after the conference finals. And a lot was made of their celebration post-conference finals. And, people were like, yo, there's another series to play, and you guys are crying on the court and showing all of this emotion. Like, don't get too caught up in this specific moment because you still have the Knicks on the other side who are playing as well as anybody can play. And I think in the first 2 games, you did see that. And so
Dan Stoltz here with Blaze Credit Union. Today I'm going to meet with Lee.
Blaze has absolutely been there with any financial help I've needed. It has made such a difference in my life. It's just a different experience.
Yeah. Blaze is the official checking account of the St. Paul Saints and me personally.
They say higher education is outdated, irrelevant, but at Grand Canyon University, we shatter the status quo. GCU's online Master of Social Work helps you serve with Christ-like compassion and connect people to needed resources.
That
Let me know if you have any questions. GCU can help you learn how to advocate for and empower people.
This is purpose-driven education. Take action. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Visit gcu.edu.
You can have youth there. Game 3, you go out, you execute towards the end of the game. And that game kind of followed like the same script. They were actually down 7 at halftime and came back, won the game. Cool. Game 4 that's the one where everything flips. And now you look at this entire team and you look at the series and the way that they lose all of these games, and you say, yeah, you guys are young and you are also at the same time dumb. And so you can be young and dumb, and this is just a combination. And maybe you get smart whenever you get a little bit of this experience, but it all blends together a little bit. So I think if you're making this a mutually exclusive thing, that's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
But we definitely see the holes and things for every single one of those players. Even when the number one thing everybody is going to talk about is you have to be stronger, you have to work on your conditioning, right? So everybody has their checklist. Everybody has their marching orders now. And going into next year, it's going to be super interesting because OKC is not going to be hopeful. OKC might not be down 2 ball hands in the playoffs. And you know, like it's like again, I don't
Never
know,
heard a lot when it matters.
but just barring injury, the other team that you are probably gonna have to go through, at least in a longer series, you might have to face something that you still haven't seen. You still haven't seen a fully healthy OKC.
I think the OKC thing is we're talking about for a couple of reasons. To the point of like, do they deserve to bail from the young team? Do they deserve to say you showed you beat OKC? Maybe one takeaway is OKC was just without Jaden or AJ Mitchell a lot worse than we thought, and maybe that just wasn't quite the stamp to disprove all doubts that it was treated as, which is going to be true at that moment. They made the finals. How are you not going to be like, bet you proved it? If we look back and say that team was just a lot weaker than we thought, and the Knicks team are just 8 notches above them, and at a certain point, the youth shows up when the quality of the opponent is that great, right? On the other hand, we thought there's no chance. That's the wrong verbiage. We were very confident the Thunder were going to have a long run where they made the finals consistently, right? Yeah. Injuries came in and said, nah, this is the modern NBA. Pace and space is up. Everybody gets hurt. You are no different. It's just hard to make 3 straight deep playoff runs and not have soft tissue injuries derail you. Yeah. Is the conversation on the Spurs being they'll obviously make it back? How do we treat them in that reality where the injuries are clearly proving that even young nucleuses, it's hard to make deep runs every single time and hope everybody stays healthy.
I think we kind of have to redefine what being back means in this era.
Like, exactly. Yeah.
The ability or the expectations to go back-to-back years in the finals is lofty in this era. Mm-hmm. But if they come back in 2, maybe even 3 years, I feel like that's the course of just teams now. Like that should be the expectation of regular contenders.
Yeah, exactly. It's not making the finals every year. That's not the new version of a dynasty. I think that we're hoping Spurs can be and the Thunder can be is like more like what the Spurs were in 2000 and 2010, where you just have a huge chunk of years. You can't even call it the same way as them because they're also one off how long it was. Call it 8 years of being a contender level team. Hopefully, you can make the finals half those years, but they will be in and out. And that's the pathway now. Is that I would like to sit up here and say, oh yeah, the Spurs are for sure going to be back. Dylan Harper year 2, Castle year 3. There's only up from here, which is true. The expectation would be to like be back and win it next year. So I'm saying all this to say, end of the day, we can give you all the slack for being a young team and understand how you got here. Still blew a huge fucking opportunity, and that stings. We haven't talked enough about that. As a Spurs fan, all these caveats aside, you were in the finals against a team you were favored to beat. Against a team you were better than in the regular season in pretty much every way. Yeah. You're a 62-win team facing a team that the Knicks still have these flaws that we're not going to talk about because they made history and made it happen. A big part of that is the Spurs, like the teams before them getting in this run, weren't capable of exposing the flaws of the Knicks in any meaningful way. Actually, never mind, they were. Until the fourth quarter came, and then they weren't. Yeah. You were up double digits every single game. Yeah. You should feel horrible for blowing this opportunity. You should feel horrible. You should feel fucking horrendous.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't even give them the young excuse simply because, one, 29-point lead.
Exactly.
You can't. That's not a young. We're just a young team. That's why we blew a 30-point lead in the second half. I can't give you
you're
that.
Class A chokers.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. And then the next game, and y'all were hearing me throughout the whole game while we were watching. Bro, no way they're doing it again. No way they're doing it again. And they did it again. Like, there's certain things that, like, you get traumatized so much, just not gonna let it happen to you again. And you let it happen to you again.
You know what it is? It's like those memes about Donald Trump when they're like, surely old Donnie will not wiggle his way out of this controversy again. Surely they got him this time. That's the Knicks. Surely they won't find a way to erase this lead again. They always do. And the Spurs fans had to deal with that for 5 straight games.
Y'all don't understand. We got the craziest plot on the game.
That's what it is.
we have an insane plot on.
But also, I can't give them the young excuse when De'Aaron Fox is such a big reason as to why they've been losing, and he's like 28 years old.
Okay, so yes, and we trust me, we are going to get all the De'Aaron Fox slander off. But also, like, coming into the playoffs, it's 7 games of postseason, experience.
Yeah.
He's also for basically new to this as well. He's never been to the finals. He's never been to the conference finals. And even those 7 games, right, it might have went different had he not broken his finger. But Sacramento had a game 7 in their building. And Steph Curry walked him out. Not even walked him out. Steph Curry just did what he does. And he had 50 on the road. And they weren't able to compete in that thing. And so for Spurs fans, like, the missed opportunity, that's the worst part about it. Because now that you don't win, you look at your team and you take a step back and you're like, dang, we really have a lot of stuff to work on.
Yeah.
Like, we really have to upgrade the bench. Shout out Luke Cornett for everything that he did in the regular season. Could not play in the finals and in the postseason. You need somebody else you need somebody else in that spot in your big man role. You are looking at your coach and like, dang, the coach needs to step up as well. Like, they have a lot more holes than you would have thought for a team that, in their words, was dictating the outcome of every game. So I think for Spurs fans and for them, trying to take a step back and take stock of what you actually have is going to be super important, because as we're talking about San Antonio in the context of them versus OKC for the next 5 years. OKC just got bounced, and we've talked about their roster construction, the way that their role players lean more defensively than offensively. I promise you, Sam Presti is looking at. He has 3 whiteboards and is looking at every single player that's available and everybody that's potentially available. All of that. Everybody else is going to try to level up, and it is on you now to do the exact same thing and try. And we're talking about what does getting back mean. I do think that probably getting back means conference final and playing for the opportunity to get to the final.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it means in the modern era.
Yeah.
Because you can't guarantee a finals appearance, but if you can just give yourself a chance, that's fine.
I think that's what makes this Knicks run so special, in my opinion, is because, like, over the last couple of years, there have been a couple of teams that kind of threaten this parody era of, like, yo, this is going to be the team that's going to be a dynasty. That being the Thunder, that being the Spurs.
Gotta win one.
And I'm not going to lie, I know it's kind of laughable now, but the Celtics, when y'all got McHale and Karl Anthony Towns and all of them, the conversation was, yo, this is going to be the team that's built to beat the Celtics.
No, it's not laughable at all. Yeah.
And y'all did.
Got old, you're right.
Yeah, and y'all did. And I think that's one of the most more impressive parts of this is, like, in this era that there were teams that could have been super teams and dynasties. Y'all got one through. Y'all weren't scary throughout this whole process.
The Knicks are dynasty killers. Ooh, they killed dynasty before they began. I like that, because I have no expectation that Knicks will be dynasty. I like that. Which is not an insult. That's not to say anything about this Knicks championship being not impressive at all. But I enjoy not having to think about, is this going to be a 5-year run? Like, it's cool that we don't have to have that conversation for real. And we just talked about the fact that what you just said, that these are the motherfuckers that stopped that from happening. That is a cool arc to have in history.
Yeah, like, y'all weren't scary at all. It's kind of like when in 2017-18, when the Rockets got Chris Paul, even though the Warriors were these juggernauts, hey, we have a guy, we are a contender year in and year out. Let's try to win a championship, even though the Warriors still exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of what this championship is feeling. It's like, even though the Spurs, the Celtics, and the Thunder exist.
I've been cooking my entire life.
I'm always searching for that special ingredient that can take a dish to that next level.
But there's one ingredient I haven't considered until now. Music.
Hotels.com introduces Save Your Way. Choose how you save. Take instant savings now or bank as rewards for a future trip. Save Your Way. It's exactly what it sounds like, unlike headphones, which are not like they sound like.
Hello.
Save Your Way. Only at Hotels.com. Hotels.com. It's all in the name.
We got an opportunity, we got a core, we got a nucleus, we got a era right now. Let's try to maximize it. Fuck all the noise.
You're trying to like raise him up right now. But you just told him that Jalen Brunson did exactly what James Harden tried to do and failed.
Oh wow.
You're whispering in his ear, sweet lovings.
Hey man.
But to stay on the topic of the Spurs while we're still finishing out their segment, obviously the biggest question now will be what to do with the Aaron Fox situation. What the fuck do they do? I don't even know. We'll say the same thing I said last week. If they could trade De'Aaron Fox today for another high-quality player of similar stature that rebalances their roster and allows you to start Harper while maybe getting a power forward-sized body next to Wemby, that would be ideal. If Jaren Jackson was still on the Grizzlies and they want, for some reason, this doesn't make sense because John, whatever, but if there was a Jaren Jackson type available and you could just swap him out 1-for-1 with De'Aaron Fox, beautiful. Our problems are all solved. I don't know that it's that easy. I do think teams probably won't overreact too much to his performance in this playoff series because the ankle probably is a real thing that we're not going to give him that slack because it's the finals and life is life. You're going to get slandered. He didn't look the same as he did in the regular season. So I don't think he's going to be like worthless because teams know he was dealing with injury and like was playing an offense that kind of deprioritized his counting stats, you know? So I don't think he's worthless. I do think that his contract is fucking gigantic, and in the second apron age, we've seen better players or as good players have a hard time finding a market because it's just tough to pay people with that size contracts if they're not going to be reliably the guy. Yeah. And the Spurs are in a position to give him that contract because Wemby's so cheap for now, and the other players are so cheap for now. So it makes sense for them to pay De'Aaron Fox, assuming he is regular season De'Aaron Fox caliber. I don't know that any team is going to give you a Jaren Jackson type of asset right now if you do put De'Aaron Fox in the market.
The only teams I can think of that have the space and that have a need for a De'Aaron Fox type, and that would somewhat make sense, would be like a Brooklyn, who is just trying to get themselves going. Because if you're a contender and you're paying somebody $60 million, yo, you need them to be the guy.
Real quick,
what's up?
I feel a tremor. I feel an earthquake coming. I feel heavy footsteps that is distracting me from our conversation about De'Aaron Fox. I feel forehead.
Hey!
Us and CJ McCollum. We're champions.
No, I don't like the way you worded that.
Listen, I said earlier, CJ McCollum's getting a ring. Because y'all took the most games off of the champions, more than anybody else.
Yeah.
So the Hawks had the best playoff run against the Knicks this entire time.
What chapter are you on right now?
We're covering pretty much everything. We're on
we're trading De'Aaron Fox.
Wait, so where? Why?
I said to Brooklyn.
Okay, wait. I hope you guys didn't do too much on it because you have to remember he did come from Sacramento.
So I was gonna say that the only teams honestly are Brooklyn and Sacramento.
So we spent about 40 minutes talking about the Knicks and how special the moment is. You missed the soliloquies about their
You're a
moment.
funny guy, man.
We're talking about the Spurs.
Because we're an hour in, bro.
I wanted to make an appearance, but I had responsibility.
Yes.
We're talking about the Spurs now and the takeaways and how the runway might not be as automatic to get back. And it was still an opportunity to start the youth. So that got to the conversation though. What do they actually do about De'Aaron Fox? You sent one message in the past hour in the group chat since you said you were busy, and it was a derogatory message about De'Aaron Fox that which I will not repeat. What do you think they should do? What did you say? I forgot.
Lock him in the room, summer, put him in a classroom with like the most rudimentary basketball teacher you can think of. I don't know, someone like E-ball breakdown or something like that. Help break down things like a real simple way. Put him in like, don't put him in AAU. Nah, fuck that. Maybe a little bit too advanced. Put him in like, I don't know. We need to get the fundamentals down also too. Plus, give him some. He needs surgery, some type of surgery or things or whatever.
Oh, fundamentals, awful coaching.
All that. I remember that. No.
Put him in the room with the worst person you know and make him suffer.
Man, it's just so storybook. It's just so storybook how the season ended for him, bro, and also how Bill Harper won this last.
Yeah, so I repeat the same thing we talked about last time, that in an ideal world, you can trade him 1-for-1 for a power forward of a lower level all-star caliber. If that's not going to be available, I guess you can consider breaking up his contract and trying to get role players back. I hear Peter Washington's available. I hear Daniel Gafford's available.
What's the secret to maximizing your footy matches? Come, let me show you. When I'm watching a game, I want to feel like I'm a part of the crowd, and that's where these come in. The new Bose Lifestyle Collection's ultra soundbar and speakers help provide an immersive, spacious audio experience. So whether it be the kickoff whistle or the roar of the fans, the rich, immersive sounds from Bose help elevate my match weeks that much better. Thank you, Bose.
Maybe De'Aaron Fox and the Mavs for their role players. Like, it makes sense to give a point guard next to Cooper Flag. Maybe they want to pick a wing in the draft instead of one of the second-tier guards they can have. Maybe something like that is possible, whether it's the Mavericks or somewhere else. I'm sure there's a team that would like De'Aaron Fox for our middle-tier players, right? That's possible. You might just have to roll with him for one more year and not sell low. And I guess bench him for Dylan Harper here too, or just make Dylan Harper money and hope he's okay with that. It's a weird conundrum, man.
Gap year Spurs, here we go.
So the good news is they can still get really good and still get back here with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
We're talking about all this, how to make the best case scenario to get off of him. The reality is they can keep him on the team and still get better. They're not an expensive team yet. They're still all making rookie contracts. They can go out there and make moves in free agency, make trades happen, keep De'Aaron Fox, and I'll figure it 10 years like the next summer or the summer after that. They don't have to offload him, which is at least a decent caveat.
Do y'all think De'Aaron Fox is willing to take a smaller role next year?
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. Who gives a fuck what De'Aaron Fox thinks in this world? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I mean, like, I do think De'Aaron Fox will be better. So I'm not like, who gives a fuck? Honestly. I think he'll be better, and I do think he's not. We're judging him at his lowest point. All regular season.
The series took away his free will.
I think he'll get back to being a good player.
Sims character.
I think if he's at a point where he's intending to play poorly, which I don't necessarily think he will, I think he'll go back to being regular season De'Aaron Fox and be not just, well, we won't be talking about him as an asset. We'll be saying that's a good player. I'm not selling stock in De'Aaron Fox. But if Dylan Harper continues to rise and is playing like the future All-Star we think he can be next year, I do not care about the preferences of De'Aaron Fox, with that being the opposite terms momentum.
The reason why I ask is I feel like a lot of the players that we slander, typically it's purely because they're underperforming for their role. Mm-hmm. But if we switch up his role, if he truly does accept 6-man De'Aaron Fox, like Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, the starting guards, and he's the 6-man.
Can you have a 6-man making $60 million?
No, you can't. And that's the problem.
For 1 year, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, for 1 year, I guess. It doesn't matter.
That's the problem is that and for 1 year, I mean, fine.
You also do trade value though.
Yeah, we'll test it out. I mean, listen, I don't know how low either of these guys is. I don't know. Listen, I have not ran anything. Fox in the pick for Katie.
No, that's possible.
Fox in the pick for KD.
That's super possible.
That's not bad. I think I would actually consider that.
You know, because like
Tell the Rockets I'm telling you to kick fucking bricks.
Obviously, however, everybody on the Rockets hates Kevin Durant, and so this is assuming that this is assuming that their situation is untenable and that nobody on the team rocks with him. He has to get out of here. And if you're the Spurs, you go, you get a wing who can score. He doesn't have to be, you know, a defender in the way that he needs to because you have ways you can cover him up just a little bit, and you're not so reliant obviously on De'Aaron Fox offense or on Stephon Castle, you know, in his offense going, because I do think that going into next year as we talk about them, you know, we always talk about year two lead, year three lead, whatever. It is a lot to ask for everybody to just go up three overall points and everybody's offense gets better and everybody becomes a great shooter. Like we're probably going to get to a point next year where that's one of them is going to be the same.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
KD might be available.
KD or not, that is a good point that we cannot assume linear progression for all these young players, right? So I'm saying this to say, I don't think we'll see what happens for both these teams in free agency. If the rosters are the same today, which is a bad assumption, but just humor that. If the rosters stay exactly the same for both these teams, I don't think I'll go into next year picking them to make the finals over the other.
Okay.
Just inherently off of progression and players getting better the next year, right? I think I will default to a healthy Thunder. I'm still thinking is a better team. Don't hold me to that, but for now, I'm feeling that way. And the only thing, which is why I want to pivot this question to, is how does Wemby factor into that, and what do we take away about Wemby from the series? Because we touched on his late game performances. Is he best player in the world? I think we had that feeling end of last round. Shea had a bad performance. Wemby had a bad performance. Jokic had a bad performance. All these players, Luka wasn't healthy enough to make a run, so we don't know about him. Giannis is always hurt. All these guys have their flaws and caveats. There's no person holding the crown. Do we feel like what I just said about the other potentially being a better team and linear progression not being relied upon, is that just shut up by Wemby becoming the clear-cut best player?
We're going into year 4. Wemby made the finals in his third year, which is absolutely crazy. And the simple like linear progression that they all could have been really is like Wemby having nailed down certain things within his offensive game and being able to control the pace and the tempo and all that. Now I know and I understand it's hard for the bigger guys to do that. Stop.
You don't know, you need.
Guys offensively are guys like Jokic and shit like that. But honestly, like the linear growth and what we expect when it comes to what's missing for this team, Wemby just simply straight up should be the answer at all costs. But now, besides that, would that be enough considering what a healthy OKC look like, depending on what they do when it comes to the exterior things and how they decide to upgrade their roster shooters and what a new tech look like and all. I don't know. That's TBS too much for me. But Wemby, if he's on that level and that trajectory, then he should be like the easiest simple answer.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it earlier. He got the good conversation. He has the final ball. That's over with. So
you'll never be Mike. Sorry.
Can't do it.
But honestly, I think the shortcut on like now that I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't even Katie's there, sure, why not try to go that route? But me personally, you have all your picks. On top of that, you have Atlanta Hawks. 2027 pick, if I remember correctly. Unload the clip and get Giannis. Why the fuck not? Speed run through this bitch. De'Aaron Fox makes all the money in the world. Giannis is too, obviously. Make yourself unbeatable. Be this era's like complete villain. Do it. What's stopping you?
The fact that he's going to be the castle. Then you're not getting Giannis.
Fox and like a lot of fakes off to be enough.
I guess if you give like every single pick you can possibly offer.
Exactly.
From Carter Bryant though.
For what?
I need the Spurs to stay away from my bombshell.
Yeah, I'd rather see myself. Yeah, so I think to your point, Wemby becoming the player that we hope he can be next year. That can end the combo. Wemby becoming the clear-cut legend that we know he's going to be. that could be the Spurs need right there. Everything else is extra. Right now, is he the best player in the world? If we did a top 30 player in the world ranking a week from today, would you rank him one? After what you saw in the flaws in his game?
No. I don't think I would. Because I think the late game stuff is I think I'm not going to dig in specifically for the late game stuff, but I am going to dig in because I think the late game stuff happened because of flaws in his game that I think other people don't necessarily have.
So you think the floor raising he brings as a defender and everything that doesn't outweigh the offense of Jokic or Shea?
Right now, maybe not.
So it's
hard. I feel like truthfully, all of them would probably tied. If there was like a legitimate belt in like one spot, then the belt would just be in purgatory.
Oh, for grabs.
Yeah. Like that's how it would be. I don't think anybody has it right now. But especially with Shea and the way that Shea was able to perform in game 7, I feel like that was a big bounce back to make sure that he's obviously still tied with it. Jokic's horrendous series in the first round going out sad like that, but we still know what Jokic can bring offensively to a team. So it's different, and I don't know if one is obviously if you put him on fire, but about it, I don't care.
There's all this just like PEMDAS to Jokic to be the best player in the world.
I mean, potentially, I wouldn't call you crazy for that, but like going back to what you said, all these guys are real weaknesses, and there's only a certain amount of things. There's certain amount of things that they literally cannot do on either side of the floor. When it comes to Jokic, he can't defend for his life. When it comes to Shea, he can't guard rims, he can't grab every single rebound, he can't get every single steal. He's a guard right at the end of the day. There's a lot, but there's so much he can do. When it comes to Wemby as well, he can't close games every single time because he doesn't have the ball in his hands every single time. He's not dictating plays or making decisions or calling guys to step. He's not doing that. There's only so much he can do. But if you want to give the crown to him, I'm not going to be mad because I go into the conversation next year projecting, and that's how he has to be the best player in the world because he has, of course, experience now. He has the greatest defensive floor fucking all time and all that. You can call Wemby that, and that's fine. I think it'll be probably hardest to make an argument for someone like Shea.
If this was wrestling and I was scripting it, you have those three fighting for it, and then all of a sudden, what is that? And then Ant just comes flying down. Like we get a leap from Ant, and then now he's in the combo as well. Like I think those four, and then obviously like Giannis can stay healthy or just be in a regular basketball situation. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's good.
Damn.
He has an opportunity. It sucks because he did get hurt right before the playoffs
and he was heating up, man. I thought we were going to run.
He's just like he's literally not in every single way this generation's Harden, but in terms of like NBA hierarchy, no one's ever gonna look at the best player in the NBA. What?
All right, now they're
no one does that.
We're not going to do this.
No one's doing that.
This is a movie conversation.
Jokic one of them.
Let's reset.
But you know what? Listen, again, we can have this conversation later in the summer because right now Jalen Brunson is the best player in the world.
Yeah, I do agree.
He has the title.
I think I will agree, and it's only fitting actually that.
Shop the Kate Spade Margot bag.
Here are 3 tips to help pay down debt. Tip 1. Organize your debt. Before you get started, determine how much debt you must pay off. Create a list of all the balances you have outstanding and jot down the amount owed to each one. Tip 2. Maximize your payments. You can do this by trimming your spending and channeling that money towards paying down your debt. And tip 3. Consider a debt consolidation loan. To learn more, visit www.southpointfinancial.com.
We're at the height of the parity era. Nobody repeats. I guess we're at the parity era for best player in the NBA too. That is wide open and to each their own, which I don't think is a coincidence. I think part of it is just Wemby's at this point in his career, the trajectory that he's not ready yet when he's clearly the next guy. But I think it's not a coincidence that we're at a point that the parity era is partially more talented teams, injuries. Defensive schematics right now are as good as they've ever been. We've really seen defenses catch up and being able to game plan for these superstars and make their lives hell. We don't see Steph Curry walk into drop coverage every play now. We don't see LeBron being able to get an easy switch every time and attack a mismatch. Teams are incredibly smart at taking away what your best player does and making you beat them as a team. That's why being deep matters more than ever now. Kind of makes sense that all of our best players are seemingly getting the chinks in their armor ripped apart and pinpointing all their weaknesses. And now we feel like all these guys are flawed. They're probably not that much more flawed than GOAT players of the past. We're just in that era now where these teams are really, really focused on. Maybe that's just the league now.
Maybe, but you also, I mean, for what we had 4 games, the Spurs as a whole, 4 games of losing the exact same way every single time, and you had bad performances, and you had bad moments every single one of those losses, and so for Wemby, I think it is really important, and this is why whenever we did our offensive player rankings, as great as Wemby is defensively, we know that he's one and nobody's really close. We all had him, 12, 15. There still is a big jump for him to make to get into the top 10 of offensive players in the world. And so that's something that you have to that he has to figure out this offseason and this summer and really find where on the floor he wants to go. And the one thing that I will say that's not just like being young, but is like kind of the young part of Wemby. Talk about all the time. He loves to oral farm, and there's so many times where you can see when we want to go for the kill. You can see when we want to have this very grandiose moment, and sometimes that's not necessarily the shot or the thing that you need to do. And so I think as we progress in his career and you start to get a sense of how to not only understand the moment, but but really control it and control your emotions and dictate those things, that would be an improvement that I am really certain that we will see from when going into next year.
He was the monks during the summer last year.
He got to go back.
I don't know. Is there like a level above the monks?
I think
I need to go the other way. Kill with the Bloods.
Kill the Bloods and the Crips. I don't think he needs that, honestly.
He doesn't. So we did our whole thing about the Knicks, whole thing about the Spurs. This is the last day of the season. Wow. Season's over. What do you guys feel like? What's your takeaway from this season? What defined this season? Now that it's wrapped, looking back, Knicks obviously being part of it, Spurs being part of it, the Thunder's failure to go back to back being part of it. Whatever it is to you, how do we define this season after that over?
I think
it's a turn of a new era for me personally. Because, like, you see someone who we've been for the last few years, who's the best player in the world? Who's the face of the NBA? Like, the guys are here, and also we're in a new era where there's going to be, like, not, in my opinion, not a singular face of the NBA like a LeBron or like Jordan. There's going to be, like, there's going to be a multitude of dudes who are running this shit because of depth and how, going back to what you said, these teams are literally, like, tactically designed to pick apart your star players like never, ever before. Turn new era when it comes to that whole small guard talk. I'm sure y'all talked about it already. There's like so many holes now that can be poked into that argument. Also, on top of that too, youth really it matters. Of course, we've seen it, but youth and experience isn't the end all be all when it comes to why a team should fail. So I think this is like a complete turn of a corner when it comes to so many things like that we want to believe in entering this NBA season. So much is like disproven.
I think for and maybe not for like going on into next season, but for this season specifically, like imperfection doesn't mean bad. Mm-hmm. I feel like there were a lot of teams that we looked at all season long and we were harping on specific flaws that they had. And it's like, they have this one problem, they have this one problem. And sometimes I could, at least for me, feel like I can get caught up in like the specific flaws of a team. And you forget, but they also do like X, Y, and Z well, and they still do have a chance. I think for the Knicks, especially when you're talking about, you can't win a championship when you have a guard and a center that are this bad defensively. It's like
Hotels.com introduces Save Your Way. Choose how you save. Take instant savings now or bank as rewards for a future trip. Save Your Way. It's exactly what it sounds like, unlike headphones. Save Your Way. Only at Hotels.com. Hotel.
One, obviously, like Cat playing better, but you can have other pieces around them to insulate them and play better. Like it's okay to be flawed. No team is ever going to be fully perfect, but you do have to still make sure that you have superpowers to overcome them.
Super duper powers, because Bruns is just one of them ones.
Yeah,
I'm sure y'all already had the conversation too, and like I think
yeah.
a lot of NBA
I think
players
top 15
too.
all time.
I don't care what you say. You got it.
You got it.
Like, and it's like, when you do shit like that, it's like you can say literally anything. I believe you can tell me like you can tell me he was in the Bible. I believe it. Right? What? Like I was in before. Yeah, cool.
President of basketball.
Might as well, dude. You can do anything.
Yeah. I think the main takeaways of what I was talking about a couple minutes ago about the parody era, quote unquote, and what that really means and how it pertains to the best player in the world combo and the and the flaws of stars being poked at. I think that's the main takeaway from basketball this year and for this whole playoff run is that teams are so smart now, and I just think we're past the point. At least I'll say this until Wemby changes things potentially in the coming years. I think we're past the point of the best player in the world completely dictating the league in the way that LeBron making all these finals in a row, Jordan winning all these championships in a row. I just think this season really personifies the fact that those days are gone, and that even if Wemby is as good as LeBron James one day, which is obviously we're far from that conversation, even if he does that, I just don't think we're going to see the ability for one player to completely strangle the league like that and be the guy that's in the finals every single year. Whether it's injuries, whether it's schematics becoming so high level, every single coach being such a genius. There are so many coaches from back in the day that are just vibe guys and rely on their staff, and they are just there because they're leaders of men, like head coaches in football that have the coordinators. That is seemingly going extinct. You have to be a very, very well-coached team X's and O's to make these deep runs. Mike Brown did genius stuff. Mitch Johnson, for all the criticism he got, did a great job maximizing his roster this year. We know what Mark Dagnall has done, Joe Mazzulla has done. Teams are very, very smart now in all regards. Front offices are 20 times as smart as they used to be. The amount of stupid trades and stupid GMs is dwindling. Only the Pelicans got one these days, seemingly. The Bulls got rid of theirs. Everything is getting higher level, and I think the new thing is just all the pieces matter. Not just the biggest piece, that being the superstar. It's not a go stack stars league anymore. We know big threes don't work. It's not that big threes don't work. It's just that stars aren't everything anymore.
Man, all I heard was LeBron James' legacy is 100% preserved forever. Put that bitch in a time capsule.
Right. All the pieces matter now. We're in the pieces over the queen chess piece type of league now. We're not on that anymore.
Yeah. Also, I'll say this: basketball's in a great place, y'all. Basketball's in a great place. I think that's my takeaway from this season. There's been a lot of conversation over the last couple of years. Oh, is the NBA dying? All these ratings conversations. At least the league conversation is a part of that conversation. We're good.
100%. And what that means is all the fans out there on Twitter specifically, don't let the Republican Twitter rage bait you into thinking basketball is a dying sport because it's the black league and they have to hate on it and do all these things about the league being woke and all this shit. Basketball is in a great spot. The TV ratings are high, which you shouldn't have cared about to begin with, but those are doing good. The quality of basketball is good. The adjustments they've made to the league are good. The quality of players and teams, everything about it is in a good spot.
Yeah, man. And the Knicks are champions.
And the Knicks are champions. And it does contribute to the health of the league. We have teams that are likable. We had a little drought because we were just like in between eras. Everything's up right now as far as future stars rising, big markets winning, Knicks fans being there happy. It's a good year. Think about the quality of this season compared to 2023 when the Nuggets beat the Heat in that boring ass
God, that was so nasty.
And we were talking about the 3-point, the pace is all too bad. Nobody's playing defense. Past 2 years, they've been letting defenders.
He getting the fuck out of that cat daddy right now, man.
They've been letting defenders beat the fuck out of each other for the past 2 years, and that's been good for playoff basketball.
You gotta let them fight.
Adam Silver, you have this moment until the next draft lottery comes and we start to hate everything you do again. For now, you put together good practice.
Also, listen, you got lucky that the Knicks won today, because then you didn't have to go back and hang Wemby. You got lucky you didn't have to make that decision, because he was for sure supposed to get suspended. So Adam Silver was like, thank God.
What a season, man.
That's our last part of the season. Any closing remarks on it?
I said at the start of the year that the Knicks were going to win the title.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, you picked
I had Knicks over Nuggets.
Oh.
They went out and they did it.
So what that means is sometimes you got to take it.
Yeah.
And just roll with it. Be a fan. Was that graphic everyone posts like Kenny said?
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta stop trying to be an analyst and be a fan.
Yeah.
Pick your team every year. Eventually it'll work.
You might have to wait 3 years, but it'll work. So
Eventually you'll have a moment.
Yeah.
You were on a podcast and you were wiping tears because your team won a championship.
I'm gonna have my oxygen tank ready, bro. This is ripping my last words.
We both did a video of Donovan reacting to the championship. Top comments. Everybody on Team 3 has got to see their championship team win. Good for them, except for Mo.
Literally, yeah, bro. Like, my next? I hope so.
Once you get Jalen Brown, you get.
I can't even say what I'm saying.
Those motherfuckers never gonna get ready. We'll see y'all next
We'll
week.
see. TBD, man.
I'm getting a championship ring too.
What about you, Rebecca?
Yeah. I'm getting one.
That's hilarious.
I'm gonna get a ring pop.
Rhapsido is the first and only pill for adults with chronic spontaneous urticaria who continue to have symptoms not controlled with antihistamines. It should not be used for any other forms of hives. Rhapsido works fast, less hives and itch at 2 weeks. Rhapsido, a prescription medicine, may cause bleeding and risk may increase if also taking a blood thinner. So tell your doctor right away if you have any signs or symptoms. Also discuss immunizations, as you should not receive live or live attenuated vaccines with Rhapsido. Side effects include nasal congestion, sore throat, runny nose, bleeding, headache, nausea, and abdominal pain. Ask your doctor about Rhapsido.
Shout out to Boost Mobile, official sponsor of Club 520. And they back again to let y'all know that you don't have to overpay for great wireless service.
Unlock the new savings account with $25 for the unlimited wireless.
It's a permanent price with no contracts or no price hikes.
Listen, and you can keep your phone and your own phone number that you have.
Wemby. Don't let the Republican Twitter rage bait you into thinking basketball is a dying sport because it's the black league and they have to hate on it and do all these things about the league being woke and all this shit. Basketball is in a great spot. The TV ratings are high, which you shouldn't have cared about to begin with, but those are doing good. The quality of basketball is good. The adjustments they've made to the league are good. The quality of players and teams, everything about it is in a good spot.
Yeah, man. And the Knicks are champions.
And the Knicks are champions.
And the Knicks are champions.
And it does contribute to the health of the league. We have teams that are likable. We had a little drought because we were just like in between eras. Everything's up right now as far as future stars rising, big markets winning, Knicks fans being there happy. It's a good year. Think about the quality of this season compared to 2023 when the Nuggets beat the Heat in that
Oh my
four-game
god,
final.
that was so nasty.
And we were talking about the 3-point, the pace is all too bad. Nobody's playing defense. Past 2 years, they've been letting defense. They've been letting.
He getting the fuck out of that cat daddy right now, man.
They've been letting defenders beat the fuck out of each other for the past 2 years, and that's been good for playoff basketball.
You gotta let them fight.
Adam Silver, you have this moment until the next draft lottery comes and you start to hate everything you do again. For now, you put together good practice.
Also, listen, you got lucky that the Knicks won today, because then you didn't have to go back and hang where we You
so
got
bad.
lucky you didn't have to make that decision, because he was for sure supposed to get suspended. So Adam Silver was like, thank God.
What a season, man.
That's our last part of the season. Any closing remarks on it?
I said at the start of the year that the Knicks were going to win the title.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, you picked
I had Knicks over Nuggets.
Oh.
They went out and they did it.
So what that means is sometimes you gotta pick a team.
Yeah.
And just roll with it. Be a fan. Was that graphic everyone posts like Kenny said?
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta stop trying to be an analyst and be a fan.
Yeah.
Pick your team every year. Eventually it'll work.
You might have to wait 3 years, but it'll work. So
eventually you'll have a moment.
Yeah.
You were on a podcast and you were wiping tears because your team won a championship.
I'm gonna have my oxygen tank ready, bro. This is ripping my last words.
We both did a video of Donovan reacting to the championship. Top comments. Everybody on Team 3 has got to see their championship team win. Good for them, except for Mo.
Literally, yeah, bro. Like, my next? I hope so.
Once you get Jalen Brown, you get.
I can't even say what I'm saying.
Those motherfuckers never gonna get ready. We'll see y'all next
We'll
week.
see. TBD, man.
I'm getting a championship ring too.
Oh my.